distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the first Middle East and North Africa Regional Climate Week. And on behalf of the United Arab Emirates, I would like to thank the UNFCCC and their international partners for bringing this very important event to Dubai and to the United Arab Emirates. Let me also acknowledge the UAE Ministry of Climate Change and Environment, DEWA, and the World Green Economy Organization for their efforts in convening so many relevant stakeholders from across governments, the private sector, and civil society. Given that the next two COPs will take place in this region, this is an ideal platform to address key climate challenges and answer them with smart, progressive climate solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathering as geopolitical tensions are undermining global progress. At the same time, we should not lose sight of climate challenges that are also impacting our collective well-being. The latest IPCC report brought those challenges into sharp focus. The report concluded that we need to act decisively to manage a range of climate risks. And I firmly believe that this region is well positioned to provide innovative solutions and answers and scalable solutions to address many of these challenges. As a young country and as a responsible energy leader, the UAE has always faced the future with a positive mindset and addressed challenges head-on. This is why we stopped flaring 30 years ago before the World Bank asked the industry to do so. It is why we achieved 0.01% methane intensity 20 years before the global pledge asking for a gradual reduction. It is why we began to capture CO2 on an industrial scale before the UNFCCC called it an essential tool for decarbonization. And it is why we became the first hydrocarbon producer to power all our operations with zero carbon energy. We were the first country in the region to sign and ratify the Paris Agreement, and the first to commit to an economy-wide reduction in emissions, and the first to announce a net zero by 2050 strategic initiative. We have chosen to lead in these areas because we view climate challenges not just as problems to fix, but as opportunities to seize. One of the biggest of these opportunities that we see here in our region is solar power. 15 years ago, our leadership placed a bet on solar that turned our country into a home for the largest and lowest cost solar plants in the world. And according to the International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA, clean energy investment in the MENA region has grown over 4 times in the last decades, and renewable capacity is expected to double in the next 5 years. This represents a fast track to low carbon economic growth that will deliver new jobs, new industries, and of course, new revenue streams to our region. Ladies and gentlemen, as we mobilize investments for a new energy economy, recent events have reminded us that we cannot simply switch off the current energy system. We can't unplug. We all need to recognize that the energy transition will take time, and it actually requires sober, thoughtful planning. It is more evident than ever before that this cannot be rushed. The push to divest from hydrocarbons has led to a supply crunch that is having the biggest impact on the most exposed today. The clear lesson is that we should not adopt climate policies that leads to energy poverty. We need to keep investing in low-cost, low-carbon energy that can provide the baseload power that the world relies on today. This means that alongside the renewables, we need nuclear, natural gas, and oil from parts of the world where it takes the least carbon to extract it, like the UAE and the MENA region. It means ramping up new zero-carbon energies like hydrogen, which the UAE and the region is well placed to produce and export. And it means always looking for new opportunities that make commercial and climate sense. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, we should also take this progressive approach to make finance a more effective tool for climate action. Yet the international community continues to fall short of the $100 billion climate finance pledge they made to developing nations over a decade ago. We need bold targets going forwards, and we need to start treating climate risks as potential global security risks. We have taken a partnership model focused on projects in countries most exposed to climate risks, because we know that local resilience builds global resilience. We have provided over $1 billion in climate aid to more than 40 countries around the world. And our experience tells us that once concessional finance is there, private finance will definitely follow. Ladies and gentlemen, the UAE looks forward to partnering with the world to build on the progress made in Glasgow, increase momentum into Sharm el-Sheikh, and raise ambition and translate pledges into action in advance of Abu Dhabi. And as the hosts of COP28 in 2023, we will use all our convening power to bring the world together. We will ensure that COP28 is as inclusive as possible, reflecting the views of the public alongside the private sector, civil society, women, and youth. And we will focus on commercially viable climate solutions that translate strategies into results on the ground. Let me conclude by extending an open invitation to governments, the private sector, financial institutions, and civil society to partner on solutions that make sense for our climate and the economy. We should not have to choose between the two. We can and we must make progress on both. As we mitigate and adapt to climate challenges, it is sometimes easy to focus only on the negative and on the dangers of inaction. Let's be bold in facing the challenges, quick to seize the opportunities, and positive in our outlook. We all know the future is here. Let's get ahead of it together. Thank you.